Hi everyone, it's Kim Bopney, the Vagina Coach, and in this video we are going to do seated stretches for Proctalgia Fugax. For those that don't know what Proctalgia Fugax is, it literally means pain in the butt. This can be intermittent pain for no reason, comes out of nowhere, deep in your butt, and often people say it's in their rectum. This is something that I experience, and it can take your breath away. It can last anywhere from 30 seconds upwards of 15 minutes. And now that I know what's happening, I can usually intervene with these stretches and it will usually subside and not become a full-blown flare. But even if it wasn't a full-blown flare, these are all exercises that I would do to help reduce and manage that pain while it happens. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so all we need for this series of stretches is a chair. The other thing that I'm going to use near the end is a soft, squishy, this is a Franklin method ball, a Miracle method ball will work as well. A rolled up towel might work, even a soft tennis ball could be an option, so we'll get to that one. But first, I'm sitting on my chair, and what I want to do is come a little bit forward to the edge. I'm going to take my legs, I'm going to walk my feet out nice and wide, and I'm going to bend forward, but I want you to think about your sits bones, so those bony points on the surface of the chair. I want you to think of them sort of spreading or widening or staying wide apart as you lean forward and put your elbows on your knees. And then you're going to use your elbows and your arm strength to press your knees outwards. And we're just going to hold it here. Sometimes that is exactly what I need, or sometimes I need more on one side. So if it's just one side, then I would use this arm to leverage, sort of pressing that knee outwards and have more focus on lengthening and stretching, releasing on one side compared to the other. You can switch over. And sometimes it might feel good to sort of alternate between the two. And I will, out of all of these stretches, not all of them will work every single time. So I'm gonna do them all and pick which one is helping the most, and then I'll probably just stay there. So this is one option. It's usually where I start to see if I can just sort of think about lengthening my sit bones, imagining my sacrum floating up towards the ceiling, and see if that helps. If not, or if I need to move on, I'm gonna now do figure 4. So again, I'm sitting in that same position. I'm gonna cross my left knee over my my left ankle over my right knee. And this might be enough stretch for some of you. If you want a little bit more, you're gonna hinge from the hips. You're not gonna collapse your sternum, you're gonna hinge forward from your hip, and you can rest your elbow on that knee. And the emphasis is actually towards the outside of the hip, but sometimes the pressing outwards, again, can alleviate some of the discomfort that you might be feeling. And you can just hold it here. I like to keep the foot active and flexed. And you can come a little bit further forward, depending on how much give your muscles have, how much release will happen. And then you can switch sides, right leg over the left knee, keeping that foot flexed and hinging forward from that hip. So you're keeping that sternum nice and tall. Next one is hamstrings. So I'm going to take my right leg out in front of me. My heel is down, my toes are facing up towards the ceiling. And again, I'm gonna hinge forward from my hips. So my sternum is, imagine almost like my spine was a broomstick. It can't bend. It's the only thing it can do is move as a whole forward when I hinge from the hips. And again, I'm thinking about kind of extending my sacrum and my sit bones back behind me. And these exercises are good for anybody with pelvic floor tension. It's not specific to Proctalgia Fugax or pain in the butt. It can help people that have chronic low back pain, people with pelvic pain, people with hypertonic pelvic floors. But these are the ones that I have found to be helpful for me, especially when I'm seated, maybe at my desk, and I feel one of these flares coming on. For me, it happens once every probably 3 to 4 months, so it's not very often, thankfully. And again, there's no rhyme or reason. It just, out of the blue, I can feel it starting, and if I intervene quick enough, usually I can help it subside and it doesn't turn into a full-blown flare. So lengthening our hamstrings is also something that's really important for our overall pelvic floor health and position. When we have a tight backside, so when our hamstrings and our calves are short and tight, they can pull our pelvis into a posterior tilt, which is a tuck. And that can lead to sometimes pain and discomfort in and around the pelvis. So we want to lengthen those hamstrings so that our pelvis can stay in a nice neutral position. And now, another thing that I can do that is helpful is just fold myself forward. So I'm just going to come drape my hands and my head down. And sometimes it feels better for me to have wider legs, so I come in between my legs. Now I'm going to grab my ball, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up one butt cheek, and I'm going to bring that ball in between the sit bone, so that bone in my bum, and my anus. Now with a bigger ball like this one, it has more surface area, so you're probably going to feel it a little bit over the anus, and that's okay. And I'm going to kind of find the spot. Usually it's quite deep, so this isn't necessarily pinpointing it, but I'll find a spot where I feel like the most pressure is going where I need it and want it, and then I'm going to sit there for a second. And sometimes I will move around a little bit with that ball to sort of massage almost, kind of like rolling my pelvis over top of that ball to kind of be almost like a little bit of a massage over that point. And sometimes I'll just sit and hang out, sit in a still position. And I have sat with a ball like this upwards of 2 minutes. So that's not always what I recommend, but if I'm wanting to help ease that kind of that it almost feels like a labor contraction. So for those of you that have experienced childbirth and labor, where you sort of feel the buildup of that contraction coming, or if you happen to be a menstruator and you feel like when you're getting a cramp coming on, you feel like it's building, that same sensation can happen with Proctalgia Fugax as well. So now I'm going to go over to the other side and find my spot, and then either choose to stay still or choose to do a little bit of pelvis motion, pelvis rocking almost over top. And then the final one that I do is, it's one that I actually just did in this past summer. We were on our boat going across the water to our cabin, and as we were pulling into the dock, I could feel it building. So I sat in the boat for a few minutes, and I just pulled my knee into my chest, and I sat forward on the edge of the boat seat, which had a little bit of a cushion to it. So this is a little bit harder than what I was on, but I just pulled that knee, so it's really stretching that one side. Pull that knee up and hold. And you could do, while you had the ball, so the orange ball that I was just sitting on, you could technically do this while you had it under there as well. I didn't have a ball with me at the time, so I just did it on the edge of the seat. Sometimes you can find, like, you can position yourself on the edge and then get into your position. So I was right at the front edge and just pulled my knee in towards my chest. You want to make sure through all of these that you continue breathing. So when we restrict oxygen, that can actually heighten our sensation of pain, discomfort. So we want to make sure we keep breathing. Nice big deep breaths. And hopefully that helped you either manage a flare or prevent it from building into something less manageable. So Proctalgia Fugax is kind of fleeting rectal pain. It comes out of nowhere. It can be very disruptive. It can be really quite intense, can last anywhere from a few seconds all the way upwards of 15-ish minutes. And hopefully some of these, maybe all of these, will help you manage your next flare. We'll see you next time.